pleasant good morning to you, our viewers watching on air and online. We'd like to thank you for tuning in this morning. Today is Saturday. We look at the week that was quite an eventful week, part of which the extension of the state of emergency, and more developments are unfolding around that. The Prime Minister is expected to address the nation tomorrow. We'll be going into details of that, as well as the CMO, the Chief Medical Officer, stating that we are still on high alert for COVID-19. Good day, my name is Jessie Leonce. I'm joined in studio by Tony Nicholas and Carlton Cyril, better known as Cokes. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Jessie, and good morning to all our listeners and viewers.
Bonjour, Lucia. Merci, Jessie. Merci, Tony. Quand nous j'ai vous savez samedi, ça nous a fait ici. Nous amenons toute information, tout développement qui prend cours pour si maintenant. Quoi, oui, on écoute et puis nous toujours un plaisir pour nous. Merci encore pour vous écouter nous sur internet, vous écouter nous et nous sur YouTube et puis GIS.
Wonderful. Today is the 25th of April. Earlier this week, we saw the sitting of the upper and lower house with a motion being forwarded by the Honorable Prime Minister Alan Chasney to extend the state of emergency to the 31st of May 2020. And his rationale was that hopefully by that time there would be some global resolution to COVID-19. And we did witness quite a few contributions, mostly in support of this extension, of course, with many questions surrounding that. We saw the opposition querying the rights and powers being associated with the state of emergency and the concerns that there may be abuse of this authority. But by and large, we have the continued accordance in the House with the extension of the state of emergency, in the hopes again that there can be some resolution, that we can begin to come up with some resolution on island as well with regard to COVID-19. Things are looking favorable so far. We did get news from the Ministry of Health and Wellness that there was a 100% recovery rate earlier this week of COVID-19. We had gotten news the week before that 11 had recovered, and the 2 who had been repatriated to the United Kingdom had recovered, and that just left 2 individuals who were in isolation being treated for COVID-19 at the respiratory hospital formerly known as Victoria Hospital. These 2 individuals who were being treated have now recovered, and that is how we've come to be able to tout that we in St. Lucia have a 100% recovery rate of COVID-19 on the island. So the CMO did give that announcement, and also prior to that, we did get news that it has been 10 consecutive days as of that date since we'd gotten a case of COVID-19. We in St. Lucia have not registered a case of COVID-19 since the 10th of April. And that is very good to hear, good to note. It indicates that we have a very robust system being put in place to flatten, to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Despite this, we have been harping that we should not be resting on our laurels due to this very good news. We're in a very enviable position in the region, if not worldwide, with the way that we've managed to contain COVID-19. However, the Chief Medical Officer announced that we continue to be on high alert for COVID-19. We continue to have all our hands on deck, ensuring that we can continue to manage this spread. We have had no new confirmed cases, no new registered cases, but that should not mean we should become complacent, because we do not know the extent of this of transmission right now in the country. So the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar George, she did make a statement with regard to us remaining on high alert. And if I could just quote from her, she made the statement of those who have been discharged from care due to recovery, and also noting that this is as a result of the collective efforts of our health professionals working collaboratively to manage our cases and the sacrifices made by the public during the period of shutdown. And though this 100% recovery rate provides us with a milestone worth recognizing, we at the Ministry of Health continue to caution the public that any gains attained should not be understood as a reason to let down our guard. Any gains made should not be a reason for us to let down our guard or to throw caution to the wind. We are still implementing our national response to COVID-19, and as such, we should collectively remain focused and committed to reducing the spread of this virus. And that is a quote there from the Chief Medical Officer within the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Sharon Belmar George. On the flip side, we've been receiving quite some very grim news of St. Lucia nationals living abroad. We got word from Dr. Jocelyn Clark Fletcher, the ambassador for diaspora affairs. We got word from her earlier this week that to date, 23 St. Lucia nationals have since succumbed to COVID-19, the COVID-19 disease abroad. I believe she quoted 17 having succumbed in New York, 1 from New Jersey, 4 from the United Kingdom, and 1 from Switzerland. That's 23 in total cases of St. Lucians that have succumbed to COVID-19 abroad, as well as 100 plus cases of St. Lucia nationals that are now battling the disease. So I'm pretty sure that at this point, if you there are many persons in St. Lucia who have relatives up there who have either succumbed or are battling this disease right now. Of course, our sympathies go out to our sympathies and our thoughts go out to these loved ones at the moment who are grieving, and these loved ones who are aware that they have a family member right now in isolation abroad battling this disease. We also got news earlier this week from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force that there were additional arrests and charges made for persons violating the curfew. We had a total of, I believe it was 26 cases, Carlton?
Yes.
26 cases where persons were arrested and charged for violating a curfew, among other state of emergency ordinances. We here at the Information Command Center continue to advise the public to stay on the right side of the law, do abide by the announcements that are being made by the Ministry of Health. Simple things like wearing of a mask. It is not an advisory. It is not a mere advisory. It is an order by the authorities to have your mask, to practice proper sanitation, especially when you're out in public, because you'd run the risk of being stopped by law enforcement if you are in breach of those, especially as well the curfew. We want persons to abide by the curfew. And just to note that we have seen many St. Lucians so far abiding by physical distancing, wearing their masks. We've seen quite creative masks being worn by the general public, and we want to say kudos to you. We want to commend you for taking those steps to ensure that you remain safe and your household, your home, your family remain safe as well. This morning we're expecting an interview with the Honorable Minister Dominic Fedee, the Minister for Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries, and he will be speaking to us on the decisions of Cabinet. We saw this week again the passing of the motion to extend the state of emergency, as well as amendments being made to the Tourism Stimulus and Investment Bill, as well as the National Insurance Corporation Amendment Bill as well. And these bills have been made in light of, these bill amendments have been made in light of COVID-19. Tony?
Certainly, Jesse, and just to go back to what you mentioned with regards to 100% rate in terms of persons who have recovered, who tested positive for COVID-19 previously. But it also needs to be said that although there is no immediate evidence of community spread of COVID-19, that it is not something that we could just assume that we've not given the all clear. There's no evidence that we have flattened the curve, so to speak, and that we continue to remain on high alert, according to the CMO, and that all of the protocols remain in place, and persons are asked to practice those protocols, continue to practice the good hygiene, wearing of your mask, sanitizing your surroundings and what have you, to maintain that we continue to move forward with COVID-19, that at some point in time we will be able to be given the all clear.
Absolutely. The Prime Minister is scheduled to address the nation tomorrow, 26 April 2020, and he will be addressing the nation on the economy amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And I just want to read a press release from the Office of the Prime Minister. It states, the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Economic Growth, the Job Creation, External Affairs and the Public Service, the Honorable Alan Shastney, will address the nation on Sunday, April 26th at 7 p.m. on the state of St. Lucia's economy amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The Prime Minister will lay out government's short-term and medium-term plans in the current environment of reduced economic activity and chart the way forward for St. Lucia as a whole. The address will be carried via the national television network NTN and simultaneously by local stations. The broadcast will also be available online via the following. So that is the Government of St. Lucia Facebook page, NTN, Office of the Prime Minister Facebook page, the Government of St. Lucia YouTube channel. We want you to take note of that. The Prime Minister will be making an address to the nation as it pertains to the economy amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And with that, speaking on, adjustments that have had to be made in the economy in terms of the partial scale down and so on, we have received word that the construction sector, Tony, will be allowed to reopen on the 27th of April. Can you give us some more info on that?
Yes, Jesse, definitely. Yesterday, I had an interview with the Permanent Secretary in the Department of Infrastructure, and they have put in place protocols for quarries, concrete, and construction sites to allow them to be reopened as of next week. And it's quite an extensive list of protocols. You have things dealing with the management of those sites, things to be done before arriving on site. We also have protocols with regards to site entry, site operations, as well as leaving the site. For example, workers must use a sign-in registry to sign out. That's to ensure that you know who is on site before and who have left those sites. So we take a listen to what the PS had to say yesterday during our interview.
In preparation for the reopening of, for example, particularly the public sector construction, we at the Department of Labor have started preparing for this eventuality, and it's very likely that it will happen on Monday. And then we're now asking that construction firms, quarries, and will seek permission under, the emergency powers, disasters, COVID-19 curfew, to reopen. So we're now putting the necessary protocols in place. We've dialogued with the Office of the Chief Medical Officer. We've developed some protocols. These protocols, we have also developed some for occupational safety and health that we're now putting together, and then we're going to be passing this on and informing various construction companies to adhere to those protocols. For example, what we are mainly concerned about at this point, not that we're ignoring the occupational safety and health, which is part of the Labor Act or Labor Code as most persons would refer to it. We are now putting protocols for COVID-19. One, we want sanitation measures in place. We want to ensure that there's physical distancing, 6 feet apart. We want there to be on-site, sort of a site preparation protocol, site transportation protocol, staff to have the necessary PPEs, and when we say PPEs, to have the mask, to be done with masks, to be done with their construction gloves and all of these matters. Even before prior to persons arriving on site, there should be and will be protocols prior to that to determine how do we invite persons onto a site. And while they're on site, if someone were to get ill, how else do you deal with those matters of illness? even when they are now operating on the site, the physical distancing, the whole issue of social distancing, how do we now determine and do we allow visitors to be on site? All of those matters will be discussed. There will be protocols also for leaving the site. When you leave, prior to leaving the site, one would ensure that persons wash their hands, they sanitize, and you sanitize the site as well, that they sign the register to ensure that one accounts for everybody. So all of these protocols, we are asking that construction companies, quarries, and concrete sites to adhere to. They will need to apply to the Department of Labor. We will be making the form available online at www.govt.lc. There is a telephone number of 4600808 that we would want persons to call if they have any further queries or concerns. That is on the construction site. There will also be an email, labordepartmentslu@gmail.com, that they would be submitting the applications to, as well as ps.infrastructure@govt.lc. So these will be made available on the government website, will be available in the public domain, in order that the construction companies can know exactly where they should be supplying or making those applications, retrieving the applications as well as submitting the applications for them to now return on site.
And that was the Permanent Secretary in the Department of Infrastructure and Labor talking about the reopening of construction sites. And what was interesting in our discussion, Jesse, was that some of the protocols that are put in place, we discussed that some of those measures are supposed to be enforced, anyway, even minus COVID, things like wearing of the mask and sanitization when on those sites. So it was a very interesting dialogue, and it's also interesting to see that we will be returning to some form of construction, quarries, concrete and construction sites as of next week, Jesse.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So word there, the construction sector set to reopen April 27th. We also got word that doctors and lawyers' offices will also be allowed to reopen as well. So that announcement coming in just this week as well. We have on the line the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries. He's the Honorable Minister Dominic Fedee, and he's on the line to speak to us about the decisions of Cabinet this morning. Good morning, Mr. Minister Fedee.
Morning, Jesse, and I think I hear Tony, and perhaps Cokes is there somewhere as well on the other line. Welcome, guys. Thank you so very much, guys. You are correct in the pronouncements being made so far that the construction sector reopening has been decided upon by Cabinet, as well as the private doctors and local clinics as well. That really is to take a lot of stress at this time on the public health facilities, which would really make us stronger as a country to respond to this whole COVID-19 pandemic that we're facing. And then, as well, I think the fabric and haberdashery stores, Cabinet has decided that it's important to reopen them so that we can get an opportunity for, people who are making the mask to go into full-fledged production. So, in two ways, you create a much-needed PPE, and as well, you create some economic stimulation in the local economy. The curfew remains intact from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m., and the period of this order goes for about 30 days. Subject to change, of course, if Cabinet would have perceived that there needs to be any changes. This depends on where we're at in terms of the positive cases. But at present, what we do know from the information coming out of the Ministry of Health is that St. Lucia, along with St. Barb's, are the only two countries in the entire world that has all of their cases recovered, and we can say that we have 0 positive cases. Now, this is not an opportunity for us to be complacent at all. and the fight is not over by no means. It just requires all of us to continue doing what we're doing, staying at home, making sure that we heed to the warnings of the Ministry of Health, the social distancing protocol, wearing our mask and other protective gear as we go out into the community to buy food. We should also continue as much as we can to work at home as much as possible. I have never done those Zoom calls in my life. Every single day there are about 4 to 5 of them. Zoom has just become the new norm. And I heard Tony was saying that some of the protocols and guidelines that has been instituted for the construction sector should have been there prior to COVID, and he's quite right. But I think that COVID, what it does, it gives us an opportunity as a country to really stand back and reflect on how we live our lives. And I think that so much is going to change in the way that we work, in the way we do business, and in the way that we conduct our daily lives post-COVID. It really is going to create a new global normal in so many ways across the spectrum of society. So I think it's a horrible crisis to waste. In every crisis there is opportunity.
Wonderful. With all of the sectors that are opening up, doctors and lawyers' offices, the construction sector, so many businesses have been allowed to open, and you would go into the city and you would see so many persons going about their ways trying to take advantage of these businesses that have been opened. One would almost get the impression that perhaps the city is not on, we're not on a partial scale down. You just see things to be business as usual. Can you reinforce you touched on it briefly, but if you could reinforce the importance of us staying at home as much as possible, and persons adhering to physical distancing as much as possible also?
Jesse, I think that COVID, you've got to win two sides, and you've got to have a balanced approach to your response to it. I think that it is a health fight, but it is also the fight from the economic front. And you would have seen the WHO has said that small countries like St. Lucia are going to find it extremely difficult to respond to a pandemic like this. I mean, when you look at some of the bigger countries and you see what's happening in the United States, for example, and the economic devastation that has been caused by this pandemic is nothing that we have ever seen. Now, economists suggest that the 2008 crash is the worst we had seen since the depression of the 1930s. And in that economic crisis, what we have seen is that in terms of unemployment claims by Americans, there were only 750,000 in any given week. With COVID, they have had as much as 6.5 million in 1 week. So you see, when you compare the two, the economic devastation caused by COVID is unprecedented at a global level. And no one really knows when this is going to end. It's extremely fluid. It's going very, very deep. And it's been a great disruptor to the global economy. Supply chains have been affected quite a bit. A number of companies, because of what has happened in China, are finding it difficult to get their parts and so on manufactured in China to assemble a lot of the products that you and I are used to living with. So this is having such a big economic devastation. I mean, on the local front, you would have heard pronouncements by the Prime Minister where our revenue fell from $110 million to $33 million in the month of April. My understanding is the actual was actually 27 million. So it's very, very difficult. And so the more you lock down your country, the more you close down businesses, the more difficult it is to respond to COVID, because you need money to respond to COVID. So you have to strike a balance and ensure that you gauge the disease, and also you gauge the economic activities that are permissible within the context of the information that you have at the present time. So that is really the feeling of Cabinet.
The Parliament approved the Tourism Stimulus and Investment Bill this week, as well as the extension of the state of emergency. Can you just speak to us briefly on the rationale for the extension of the state of emergency on Cabinet's end, as well as just give us some brief details on the Tourism Stimulus and Investment Amendment Bill?
But more important is the state of emergency, because what it does, it gives the executive arm of government greater flexibility by which it can make very quick decisions. A lot of decisions at times require you to go to the Parliament to make a law or to amend the law. With the state of emergency in play, it does give an executive extraordinary powers in order to be flexible to deal with some of the administrative issues that will be affecting us during the COVID response. And so that goes on for another month, and it does help our fight. We can be nimble, we can respond quickly, almost overnight, to scenarios that may come up. So that is critical, and I think that is one of the reasons why we have been able to stave off this disease and have had a relatively successful result from the fight. My information is that the Ministry of Health team are continuing to go into communities and to do testing. Results are coming back negative from the test that they have done. And I mean, it's really something that's encouraging. But St. Lucia, at every point of this response, has been very proactive in that we organize quarantine facilities so that we have our people who are coming back from overseas, that those individuals were put under a managed situation. We opened up the Owen King EU Hospital so that the capacity of our health sector can be enhanced. We brought the Cuban Medical Brigade, close to about 130, that came to help in the advancement of our medical health capacity. The Victoria Hospital has been transformed into a respiratory hospital. Another important step in this fight is being redesigned as we speak, and a lot of upgrading to it is taking place, so that what you do have is a very comprehensive and holistic response to COVID-19. So I think that we have done some real critical things, and there has been a very good example of cross-agency collaboration between the Ministry of Commerce, Agriculture, Tourism, Health, and of course the Ministry of National Security that oversees the police. So what you've seen is tremendous cooperation. As it relates to the Tourism Stimulus and Investment Bill, it was just a simple amendment to extend the period by which investors that are contemplating various developments on Ireland can apply to qualify for investments under the Tourism Stimulus and Investment Act.
You made mention during this week's parliamentary sitting of the lower house that government is doing everything in its power to repatriate the hundreds of St. Lucian cruise line workers. Can you give us an update on where that is at right now?
Yes, we've been putting a lot of pressure on the cruise lines to get over 500 of our nationals home. So far, we've been successful in getting a small number of about 9 that came from Barbados on the Norwegian cruise line. And we have been working painstakingly with the embassies overseas, along with the cruise companies, to ensure that we get our people home safely. We're constantly in dialogue with them. Our Miami office, because most of them are in South Florida, have been working extremely hard to ensure that we get them home. And we're pretty close. What we want to do is to ensure that we stagger the arrival of the cruise line cruise line crew members who are our nationals. And, you know, we need to get them home as quickly as possible. We've been reaching out to their families. We've been getting phone calls by a lot of these families who are very, very concerned about you know, the fact that their loved ones are away. And for those people that are listening, I just want to give them the comfort that just a short time ago, before coming on the show, we had a meeting dedicated to discuss this issue on its entirety, and we are impressing upon the cruise lines diplomatically and in every other way to ensure that this has become an urgent matter, and we need to get our citizens home as quickly as possible.
You mentioned, I think it was 13 or 14,000 tourism workers who are now on the breadline, and as well as hoteliers who have no prospects, you know, at the moment for persons coming into the country and staying over. Do you have any encouraging words for them? What is the progress of any plans to accommodate the tourism sector, manage this COVID-19 situation to ensure that we can stay afloat or recoup as best as possible in the future?
Well, my heart goes out to some of the hardest working people in the country. When I think of tour guides and taxi drivers and waiters and housekeepers and front desk employees, and the list goes on, and they have really been great ambassadors, and part of a lot of the success that we have seen in tourism is largely because of their input. It's largely because of their own diligence and success. And so I want to say to them now that we are really sympathetic, and we are doing everything we can to ensure that when the world is ready, that St. Lucia is in a place where we can compete for the tourism business. There is a very important meeting which is being held on the 5th of May. The OECS tourism ministers are going to convene a meeting to discuss the regional approach to the recovery of tourism. The OECS authority, which is the heads of government, have actually appointed St. Lucia's Prime Minister, Honorable Alan Shasney, as the lead Prime Minister to look at the whole proposal for the COVID-19 tourism response, and how can the sub-region reopen its industry. So quite a lot of work has gone into a white paper which was led by Vincent van der Poel Wallace, one of the leading consultants for tourism in the Caribbean, and he will be making a very important presentation to the OECS tourism ministers. That meeting should be chaired by Prime Minister Shasney, but I'm sure that the Secretariat will tell you more. So we're looking at a number of scenarios, looking at the marketplace and the state of their public health in response to COVID-19. We're looking at the fact that a number of airlines are ready to fly because they have received stimulus money from the American government, and they have a necessity to put those planes in the air as soon as possible. So that's a good sign. What is not a good news is the scenario in some of our markets. Now, what is critical is that COVID-19 has created ways that the tourism sector has got to be innovative. So we saw Emirates Airline becoming the first airline in the world to make testing for COVID-19 as part of the check-in process. So if you check in at the airport and you do the test and you are COVID-free, then you're allowed to go on the airline. If the test comes back positive, then you're not allowed to go to the airline. But a lot of consideration must now be placed on what do we do as far as attractions are concerned. If a boat is licensed for 100 individuals, should we allow 100 or should it now be 60? Should our staff in hotels now be wearing protective gear? Should the airport have the screening facilities in order to check the temperature of every guest? The medical stations at hotels, what are the implications for them in terms of the level of surveillance and the level of capacity that they need to put in place. Social distancing in restaurants, the banning of buffets, and a whole host of issues are now coming to the fore as destinations around the world look to reopen up. What is clear globally is that we cannot keep our borders shut forever, but we need to find innovative ways by which we can manage business, manage commerce, and at the same time manage the COVID-19 scenario.
Thank you very much for that. Any final words?
Let me just ask before you leave, Mr.
Sure.
Minister. Probably you could just clarify. Very often there's the notion that when we speak of tourism stimulus, and even under the Tourism Incentives Act, in some quarters it is given the impression that you're only talking about big hoteliers. But just speak to how persons, even in the smaller sectors, your local tour operators, your local guest house owners, that they too could also benefit from the tourism stimulus as well as from the tourism, what is stipulated under the Tourism Incentive Act.
You know, Tony, that's a very good point, and I'm glad that you asked it, because as a country we've done a bad job in letting the smaller businesses know, the indigenous business, that they too qualify. You know, a hotel is defined as a facility with 6 or more rooms with complementing recreational facilities. So it could be a small restaurant, or it could be a pool, or it could be a garden. And so really a lot of our locals do qualify, but they don't know. So what we've been doing at the Ministry of Tourism is contacting a lot of those small businesses that we know do not have concessions, and we invite them to apply so that they too can have the same privileges of some of the bigger developers that have the capacity to hire sophisticated lawyers and get good advice in terms of what the law says in relation to the tourism business. We've done several workshops. We're planning a few more meetings to ensure that a lot of our local indigenous businesses do apply and do qualify for the tourism, all the incentives that come under that. You know, one of my favorite stories is that there's a well-known hotelier in the north of the island. They've got about 14 to 15 rooms now, but they started the business quite humbly 30 years ago with 4 bedrooms. And, you know, to find out after 30 years of being in the business, they've never had concessions. And so, you know, Tony, we must never allow this kind of scenario to occur in our country again. We've got to be astute public servants, and we've got to make sure that our people are served in the best possible way, and they too can get the concessions available to the wider tourism sector. It also goes across to like the tourism recreational facilities, so people with boats and people who are doing attractions, all the equipment that they buy can actually get duty-free concessions. The taxi drivers have been a sector that have benefited tremendously from that sector as well, because a lot of the vehicles that come in do get duty-free concessions. The Cabinet is about to unveil a new set of concessions for the taxi drivers so that they can replenish their vehicles and renew their fleet. The other thing I forgot to add was what the government has done for those displaced tourism workers. But in addition to that, we've also done for the wider economy. So the NIC contribution, so in Parliament, one of the biggest things that came through was the amendment to the National Insurance Corporation Act. And that amendment, what it does was to create a welfare, an economic welfare program, which then gives the NIC an instrument to be able to give unemployment benefits up to 6 months to a lot of the displaced workers, regardless of sector, regardless of industry. And because we know that there are people in retail, there are people from you know, the IT industry as well, that would need benefits. And so I'm very, very proud of that particular piece of legislation so that we can bring relief to those contributors of NIC. For the people who have not been contributing, NIC is also happy to look at their case and also use this opportunity to register more people outside of the formal employment sector, so those that belong to the non-formal employment sector, that they too will have an opportunity to benefit from the economic relief program that the amendment to the NIC Act allows. So this is really good news, and I'm really satisfied with what the Parliament has done.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Minister.
you. Any final words before you leave?
Yeah, I just want to take this opportunity to say to the people of ancillary canneries who have been in touch with on a daily basis via telephone and via Zoom. We've been having meetings with a few cluster groups, and just to say to them that you know, I'm thinking of them and they should stay safe, heed to the warnings of the Ministry of Health and the public health officials, so that we can ensure that our entire country remains safe. This message I would like to send out to the rest of St. Lucia as well. We've opened our ICT centers for those students who do not have computers at home, so that they can be part of the online learning that is taking place. We have gotten about 45 additional computers for the constituency. We'll be putting computers in the Jack Mill area for children there. We'll be putting computers in places like Antlavady and Belvedere in Canneries. We'll also be doing something in the Darando and Techime community centers, so that we are trying to cover as many of the little pockets as much as we can, so that students in the constituency of ancillary canneries can stay in touch with their classes.
Thank you very much for that word. Thank you very much, Minister Dominic Fedee, for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. The Minister for Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries there, speaking to us on the decisions of Cabinet and the recent passing of the NIC Amendment Bill, as well as the Tourism Stimulus and Investment Amendment Bill, as well as the state of emergency extension to the 31st of May. Now hand over to Carlton. I cut off guard.
Merci tellement, Jesse. Bon, moi dit bonjour, cette Lucie. C'est samedi le 25 avril. Vous pouvez savoir, nous t'ai parlé by Honorable Dominic Fedee. Là, il était adressé en charge ces décisions qui point par gouvernement Simenza. Quand vous savez, les samedis ici, ensemble, et puis Jesse et puis Tony, nous avons vu tout ça, revisiter tout ça qui a fait pour Simenza. Et continuer par information et développement qui point court en temps ça. Eh bien, moi j'ai commencé premier pas et puis Honorable Dominic Fedee. Là, il vient visiter ou qu'il changer notre parlement avec Sénat aussi pour décider et puis pour ajouter premier là il vient pour Curfew ou qu'ils savent Curfew a trouvé quoi ajouter commencer les 27 il était bout les 26 après il a vieux commencer les 27 pour les 31 mai trouver quoi informer encore il a vieux faut savent ça pas veut dire toute bagaille vieux normal quoi il a adressé ça c'est une raison gouvernemental en caille parlement pour passer bill ça l'autre bagaille là qui trouver quoi visiter c'est ou qu'ils savent là il vient pour assistance monde qui trouver quoi affecté directement là il pour faire ça fait COVID-19 Covid là qui touche en l'enchaille matière là il vient pour ça parmi bagaille moi était bien content il parlait à sur les tournements des là nous parler des monde qui a une assistance programme plan gouvernement en chaque monde compagnie dit c'est plus gros business hotel là c'est plus gros hôtel là mais bien parler puis dit là ni ti hôtel ti guest house ti place gens local souvle dit qui n'était business yo et qui même bien vite pour dire il admettait yo même pour bien adresser ces monde sans chaque monde pas même savent yo même ça une assistance, yo même ça une concession, là il vini pour ça. Quand ça c'était yon dans ces bagailles là, il adressé l'autre bagaille là aussi kay savent, là il vini pour tourisme adapté changer, là il vini pour ça. Quand ces matières ça c'est ça qui était en kay parlement pour semaine ça. Il parle aussi belle nouvelle nous hot ministre là ou kay tan là vini pour office docteur, office avocat, c'est place ça ouvert mais changer encore l'année et manière ça qu'a fait application ni pour faire hot ministre commerce. Parmi l'autre côté qui ouvert quand un ministre là bien adressé c'est Jean Construction et puis ça nous kay tan un petit pli à soi ou kay savent moun qui en section ça en département là vini pour construction là yo jaba yo permission construction Jean qu'a fait construction et puis c'est Quarries mais nous teni Ppe là ministry ça il était ici avec Daniel il était ici à bonne information mais là ministre là touché à sous ça en chai c'est place ça qui ouvert encore on est pour changer on est pour faire application ministre de commerce pour une permission et qui a dit là il bien clair ou supposé suivre protocole encore monsieur Tony défend un bon point là il dit en chai ça qui était supposé fait te hala mais on nous dit à présent moun obligé faire as a résultat de Covid. L'autre place qui ouvert avec ministre mentionné ça c'est là venu pour côté Covert. Là venu pour côté Covert ou kay sa ministre dit ça c'est un côté qui bien important yo kay permettre ces places ça pour ouvert parce que à présent en chaque moun ka travail et ka fait c'est massa quand bagay ha mauvais quand il y a ministre qui a dit ça même kay mener un petit travail en place là fait économie en marché en petit pli quand yo ka fait ces places ça qui ka vendre toile ka vendre élastique bouton ces places ça a permis pour ouvert encore parmi l'autre bagaille il touché à ça c'est là il vient pour économie avec manière nous a trouvé qu'on nous affecté il dit c'est pas simple c'est tout seul on la terre place a trouvé qu'on yo affecté avec bagaille a changé avec nous en simplicité pour changer ça il bien dit qui mentionné il fait référence là il vient pour l'argent gouvernement te ka fait avec l'argent yo ka fait à présent ou ka savent par exemple premier ministre mentionné sans parlement gouvernement te ka fait à peu près 110 millions de dollars à présent ou ka gouvernement ka hen à peu près 27 millions de dollars. Quand un bagay pour nous changer as a résultat de Covid là à présent gouvernement ni pour balancer économie et puis maintenant et changer yo ka fait ce conseil qui a sorti 6 mois et puis c'est mon qui travailler pays en l'autre question qui demandé par Mademoiselle Jessie là vini pour ces gens nous qui travailler à sous ces bateaux ces cruise ship là qui manière ça qu'a fait et puis au ministre là aller pour dire il bien content question mandé encore yo ka travail yo ka ve toute manière yo peut adresser ça expressément manière diplomatique yo ka parler ba c'est office là qui en Miami côté en Chai c'est gros cruise ship là ni officiel il ka parler ba c'est moun ça et yo ka fait tout ça yo paye mais yo ka vie dit il dit ça c'est yon bagay yo ka fait mener simplicien qui ka travail là venu pour ces cruise ship là mener yo ici à simplicien ici qui bien fait nous changer nous ton annoncement à peu près 8 9 c'est gens ça entré en pays avec ces moun ça ba quarantine à présent parmi l'autre ba évitement il a adressé c'est là venu pour qui manière bagay kaye après Covid avec manière hier c'est date qui mais c'est la vie qui a changé. Nous savons cette liste c'est une destination là il vini pour les affaires Covid là et quand chaque bagay qui a changé il dit dans une industrie et comme ça et puis là dernièrement dernière parole il dit that qui il voulait ces gens constituents savent il a travaillé puis yo il peut pas oublier yo mais comme savent ça c'est en tant côté tout ministre tout département qui travaille ensemble et puis là il y information là il vini pour ces computers en compagnie maman ils savent Chaimoun dit yo panissa et puis ika adressé tout en toute messieurs dames information avec bagay qui fait semaine ça nous ka continuer pour baou ici vite avant moi vier by Jesse et puis Tony et puis nous né mon ici yo ka annoncer ça qui moun ça qui a venu visiter nous pour ba nous plus information toujours Bon nouvelle encore, là vini pour Saint-Lucie, 100% là vini pour moun qui a recouvert, nous pas ni pièce moun qui a testé positif pour à présent. 10 jours droit après nous un annoncement nous pas connait personne de ces moun nous tenir en isolation, c'est moun ça a vié caillou parce que après test yo vié était négatif. Mais CMO Dr. Belma George a fait bien clair. Bagay poko viye normal. Moun ni pour changer, nous ban curfew toujours. Protocole ni pour trouver koy ka suivre toujours. Ça nous ka parler dia masse en public ou supposé nan masse à soufidja yo. Ou supposé rete 10 pieds hod, 6 pieds excusez-moi hod en moun. Social distance nan ou ka tan toutes les chebe distance ça. Ou supposé ka continuer ka laver l'amon ek sanitize li. C'est bagay ça là toujours sou pani pour sortir dehors ça qui plus important rester kay ou c'est bagay ça il a toujours et puis chef médical officier Dr. Belma George dit nous ne pour point précaution quoi ça pas veut dire qu'on nous pas une pièce ka toujours et bien à présent date qui bagay a vie normal en parmi développement pour maintenant quand nous parler by Dr. Joycelyn Clark Fletcher li qui responsable pour Saint-Lucien qui a été l'autre pays rapport là nous parler by il dit nous n'a à peu près 23 monde qui j'ai trépassé et là nous ka sipaté puis famille c'est moun ça il aller plus loin pour dire nous à peu près en 100 l'autre Saint-Lucien l'Amérique, l'Angleterre, Canada et puis l'autre place juste babad. Nous ni moun qui a testé positif en compagnie la caillon en compagnie l'hôpital mais c'est qu'on rend bagay la les vini pour ça quand c'est moun ça nous ka sipaté puis yo les vini pour police te ben rapport semaine ça à peu près 26 moun trouvé ko yo arrêté pour ka casser curfew parmi l'autre bagay mais en tout les vini pour ces bonnes commissionnaire des bagay qui a marché bien assez et puis bagay commencer moun commencer ka comprendre ko yo ouais moins monde ka traverser ka quitter notre land ka aller en sud là parmi information ka savent premier ministre honorable Alan Chasney il a adressé nation dimanche le 26 ça c'est demain à 7h trouver qu'on informé ou ça suivre ça sur NTN et puis là c'est station locale non et puis à sur YouTube à sur station à sur Government Information Service GIS là où ça suivre ça là nous avons plus information là ça quoi mais c'est tout en tout nous on a touché à ce développement qui a plus qu'on nous ici à ces headquarters vermin COVID-19 Mother Jessie.
Thank you very much for that, Carlton. We are due for our first break for the morning. Thank you so much if you're just joining us. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. This is a look back on the week that was. And of course, there's so many developments into the weekend that we must also report on. So we hope you do stick around. We have a guest in studio and she's part of the Operation Command Center for our national COVID-19 response. She's from the Office of the Prime Minister. We do hope you stay tuned after this break so we could get some information on the decision-making process for COVID-19 management on island. Stay tuned.
COVID-19 is a new pandemic disease as declared by the World Health Organization. It is transmitted directly by respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes, or indirectly through rubbing the face with contaminated hands. There is still no specific treatment or vaccine against COVID-19, and as such, the farming community should adhere to some special recommendations. Stock up on essentials such as animal feed, fertilizers, pesticides enough to last for about 30 days. Stock up on fuel and oils for farm equipment. Ensure that tools and vehicles are serviced to prevent breakdowns and to ensure that farming and food production remains steady. And protect yourself and your workers by ensuring you take all necessary precautions to remain healthy. More than ever before, your important role as gatekeepers of St. Lucia's nutritional health and food security should be taken seriously. When you exercise these precautions, you not only safeguard your health, but also continue to allow St. Lucians access to freshly grown fruits, vegetables, and other local crops. Remember, it is our responsibility to ensure our nation eats fresh, St. Lucia's best.
Welcome back to the program. We're looking at the week that was in our COVID-19 response here on island. I'm joined in studio by Mr. Carlton Cyril as well as Tony Nicholas, and we're just discussing some of the things that have transpired. We just got off the phone with the Minister Dominic Fedee, the Minister for Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries, and he was just giving us a rundown of the decisions of Cabinet, giving us the rationale for the state of emergency to go into May 31st, as well as the Tourism Stimulus and Investment Amendment Bill and the National Insurance Corporation Amendment Bill as well. At this juncture, we're joined in studio by Ms. Nancy Charles. She is the Implementation Director. She's part of the Implementation Director at the Office of the Prime Minister, and she's also part of the Operation Command Center, working feverishly behind the scenes toward the management of COVID-19 in St. Lucia. Pleasant good morning to you, Nancy.
Good morning, Jesse. Good morning to the team here, and good morning to St. Lucia. Wonderful.
Can you just tell us about, there's so many decisions to be made behind COVID-19's management. Can you tell us, when did your team begin working on responding to COVID-19 on island? Tell us how long this has been in the works.
Well, very early, as soon as the COVID-19 pandemic started to take shape, both regionally and internationally, St. Lucia started the discussion in putting together an operations command center. And the purpose of the command center would be a team of mixed technical persons and persons within government structure, outside of the government structure, and these would be the technical persons to assist in putting the protocols, putting the management and the plans in place for St. Lucia to deal with COVID-19. So essentially, I know there's a saying, they say that behind every good man there's a very good woman. So this is what it is. The Operations Command Center is the good man standing behind the good woman, which is the government of St. Lucia, in implementing some of the strategies and some of the protocols and how to deal essentially with COVID-19. So whilst we were in the discussion stage of the team, we started getting a few positive cases, and so what it had to happen was the command center, the Operations Command Center, had to take a life of its own and immediately go into action. We had a state of emergency that was declared, and almost immediately after that you had a 24-hour curfew being implemented, and so the team sprung into action to ensure that we could decide and discuss what was happening on the ground, and to advise the government via the Cabinet of Ministers in terms of what would be some of the actions that we would recommend for them to take in dealing with COVID-19. Just so you know, some of the people who are on the Operations Command Center, the Operations Command Center is being led by Minister Dominic Fedee, who has been selected by the Cabinet of Ministers. We also have Minister Ppe Isaac, who's the Minister for Health on the Command Center. We have the CMO, the PS and the DPS of Health, the Commissioner of Police. We also have an ex-Commissioner of Police on the team as well. We have an ex-Director of Finance. We have the PS, the DPS, and the team from Health. We have our delivery unit, and we have NEMO, and we incorporate all the government agencies or ministries as the need arises, depending on the level of discussions that we will be undertaking. And so we bring in people. For example, we had the PS of Commerce, the Minister responsible for Commerce, and so we bring in various agencies depending on the nature of the discussion and the decisions that are to be made, to advise and to give the technical expertise so that we can give Cabinet the best advice possible in the decision making.
Okay, fast forward to real time. This past week, the state of emergency extended to May 31st. Give us how did the team go into and assess all of the points to decide upon advising the Prime Minister to do so?
Okay, so what happens on a daily basis? The Operations Command Center meet every day, every morning. Our meeting begins in the morning at 8:30 a.m. Sometimes we start at 8 a.m. depending on the nature and the length of some of the things to be discussed. And the first thing that is presented to the Command Center is the CMO's report, or the report from the Ministry of Health. So you would appreciate every single decision that is being made is being dictated by what is happening within the Ministry of Health with the CMO and the testing and the results and what is happening on the ground. And so subsequent to that report being made by the CMO and some of the recommendations being made by the CMO, the team would now go into discussion into looking at some of the impacts or the effects of some of the recommendations, and then we now put all this together and a recommendation is being sent to the Cabinet of Ministers. It's not easy. Sometimes you spend hours discussing just one single matter. So for example, the matter of the reopening of the construction site, sometimes you have to, the discussion has to be both technical and practical, looking at the economic factors, looking at the health factors, looking at the potential impact for making such a decision. And so sometimes it is very lengthy, and then we now make a recommendation. And I want it to be very clear as well, so that whilst we make recommendations to the Cabinet of Ministers, at the cabinet level there is also that discussion, that further discussion, because cabinet now has to take other things into consideration, perhaps the economic factors and other factors that would impact the government, the financial factors, because we're not discussing those finances per se. And so when cabinet now takes those recommendations, they look at other factors in determining whether they will approve or agree with the decision of the Operations Command Center, or whether they would do otherwise with that decision. So it's not a fait accompli, it's not something that is very easy, but at the end of the day, it is the dialogue, the consultation, the discussion that takes place prior to making those decisions that is what is critical.
Okay, and you mentioned the construction sector set to reopen, as well as the retailers and distributors of computer office supplies, doctors and lawyers' offices. Tell us the rationale behind these specific decisions.
On a daily basis, the government gets requests by various sectors, various people who are making requests for certain services. So you would appreciate immediately after the 24-hour curfew, we had very few essential services identified in the SI that was printed, and that was more or less shops and supermarket and petrol station, the police stations, healthcare. So at that time, it was necessary, and it was felt that these were only the critical essential services that people needed to access in order for the country to manage the spread of the virus, and so you only had that. Gradually, as we continued our testing and the CMO with her team became a bit more comfortable that we were slightly managing, we began reviewing the request by general members of the public, by business establishments, by various entities to be open, because persons needed to access those services. And so you would realize that over the last 4 to 6 weeks, we've been doing a gradual reopening of essential services. And so now that we've had the supermarkets, people are a little bit more comfortable, people are a bit more orderly in going to the supermarket, they are adhering to the physical distancing of staying 6 feet away, people are adhering to wearing their mask, we are a bit comfortable with the testing results that have been happening, and so the recommendation has been coming in for persons to now access certain services. So with reference to the computer stores, for example, an announcement was made by the Ministry of Education that the third semester would begin, and more or less it would be online. And so it was necessary, there were a number of requests by parents and other persons to say that we need to access those computer stores, we need to be able to access tablets and iPads and electronic items. We needed to ensure if we had some of those that need to be repaired as well. So they needed access to those services, and so the consideration was made, given on the fact that we knew that for sure that students and parents and teachers as well needed to access those services. In terms of the doctors, prior to the curfew, the doctors had made the pronouncement via the Medical and Dental Association that their visits would primarily be via their phone or other mediums where they would not have any physical interaction with their patients. Now that we have COVID-19 under a little bit more control, the request came again from those medical doctors to say we believe that we are a bit more comfortable, persons are adhering to the social distancing, people are a bit more disciplined, and so we are making a request to now reopen, because we have quite a few of our patients who had appointments that we had to put on hold. And I also want us to remember, it's one thing that we always talk about, that whilst we are dealing with COVID-19, people still continue to be sick with other diseases and other sicknesses. So, for example, I have a son who's on dialysis. He still has to go to dialysis. It's not because of COVID to say that everything stops, you know. And so the access to those critical services in terms of ensuring that persons can now go to their private practitioner to access those type of services became critical. And so we now had to give consideration to it. But I also want to let you know, Jesse, as well, that every single service that is allowed to be open, there is a protocol that is attached to it. So the CMO, through her office and through her team, will issue a protocol and say, yes, it is okay for you to open, but here's the protocols that you must adhere to. There are certain things that you must put in place. There are certain things that you must have in order to ensure that you can open, because we need to guarantee the safety and the security of St. Lucians.
For me, there are two sectors, and we've been seeing some of the comments, and let's not ignore some of those comments. Let's just try to address it through the Operation Command Center. We've been seeing the comments with regards to when will the liquor licenses. That's been an honest discussion that's been taking place on social media. And also the flip side, it's funny I should be asking those two questions. The churches, person have been asking, when will the churches be allowed to open? Of course, observing the protocol, social distancing, what have you. Care to comment on that?
Well, if there is one thing I can say, every single morning at 8:30 a.m. when we have our meeting, the CMO continues to remind even us as a team that we are not out of the blue yet, that St. Lucia still remains at a critical stage. COVID-19 is still very present, and we can see what is happening within the region, and we can see what is happening internationally. So she continues to remind us, notwithstanding that as we discuss and we make decisions and recommendations to open a few essential services, that we are not out of it as yet. And so that is what drives the discussion in terms of ensuring that the decisions that we recommend adheres to safety and to protocol. And so social gathering, which is one of the things we understand that St. Lucians, we're a very social country, we're a very social community. We love to come together, we love to be chatty and to be with each other, maybe sit down and have a drink and talk. And this is one of the areas where it is very critical to manage, because that's one of the way the virus is being spread through contact and you with each other and talking and so forth. So the social gathering is what the Ministry of Health and the Operations Command Center is trying to assist St. Lucia in maintaining. That people remain in their homes, people remain within the confines of their workplace, and that we do not social gather as much as we used to. And so the consumption of alcohol in most instances, I'm not saying it's in all, but in most instances it is a social thing that we do when we consume alcohol. We grab a beer, or we sit down and have a glass of wine with a friend and we chit chat and so forth. And so having the ban on the sale of liquor is in assisting us in maintaining that non-social gathering. And so the decision to free up the liquor, like everybody is saying, I'm calling on the PM, free up the liquor, we need to have a drink and so forth. We understand it. It's not that we are not mindful of it, but at this time I don't think that we are very comfortable that people would adhere. We've been doing very well so far, but we're not too comfortable that people would adhere to the social or non-social gathering and the social distancing that we've been talking about and so forth. And so that is one of the decisions, or that is one of the reasons why we have not seen it fitting to recommend for the non-ban of the liquor. I know persons have liquor within their homes, maybe they have their wines and so forth, and it's okay if you're in the comfort of your home. But I think the general fear is that if we say we're going to free up the liquor now, I am from Viewford, I can certainly guarantee you the lines that I will see at Uptown Liquor Store, people heading in that direction, it will probably erode all the good works that we have done in the last couple of weeks in terms of trying to manage COVID. So my advice to St. Lucians is that just hang on a little while. Let's hold off a little while. Let's ensure that we can really maintain and ensure that we have COVID-19 under control, and then we can get all the liquor that we want to consume in the next couple of days and in the next couple of weeks. But let's just hold on a little while. And so the opposite and the same goes for the church. The consideration, the requests have been made by the church, and the considerations were on the discussion. But the challenge that we have is when we come to church, is we have to hug and we kiss each other. It's a traditional thing that we have. Even for me, sometimes I see a friend, I'm walking with my mask and I'm either going to the office, and it is so ingrained in me to go across or to walk up to the person to give a little hug or shake a hand or something, and I have to double check myself. So going to church, we're not preventing, I'm a church person, so we're not preventing anybody from going to worship the Lord in their way and in the way that they are most comfortable with. However, the social gathering of it after church, everybody loves to stop and chit chat with each other. How was your week? And have a good week, and do that. So that is the fear that we have.
And you cannot guarantee the monitoring.
There's no guarantee in terms of the monitoring. The police cannot be everywhere at the same time, and we really do not want to be policing people 24/7 to keep into certain things. So I think in the interest of it, we're just trying to be a bit more preventive and proactive, as opposed to saying, okay, let's do this and let's do that, and then the consequences after. I'm pretty sure, whilst a lot of people are saying let's free up the liquor and let's open up the churches, if perchance, God forbid, we were to make that decision and then you hear cases of COVID being at a particular church or a particular establishment, the government will never be forgiven for that. Then these same persons would now be blaming the government for making a wrong or bad decision. So sometimes you have to wait and to make the decision. So it's not an easy decision. It's very challenging because people do have their needs, and people perhaps are comfortable in having a little glass of wine every evening, and now they can't. It's challenging and it's difficult, but I think I would want St. Lucians to appreciate that we're doing it for the better good of St. Lucia, for the better good of the population, and it's only for a short period of time. It's not going to be forever.
Understood. Carlton?
Merci tellement Tony et puis Jesse. Ici et puis nous, messieurs dames, nous ni Nancy et Charles, c'est lui qui est responsable, c'est lui qui est directeur implémentation en office Premier ministre. Ici il y a l'autre fonction, quand ils savent, les venus pour faire COVID-19, l'année en centre commande, l'année en compagnie et mon en bord qui est responsable pour un chaque décision qui a fait, et puis t'es capable de dans ces bagages là, dit gouvernement pas qu'à faire décision vaille qu'on aille bien changer nous en parlement, et puis gouvernement est là parce que décision pour assister moun qui trouve quoi yo affecté, t'es ni pour trouver quoi en parlement, parce que quand tout qu'on peut savent les vini pour en ici il ka tomber en bas constitution, même manière les vini pour décision pour bail premier ministre le pouvoir pour ajouter Curfew, ça pas qu'un fait. Quand tout ça qu'a fait, et puis yon sept moun dans centre commande là, et puis pour raison ça nous ni Nancy et Charles ici qui a nous plus information pour qui manière ça qu'a travail, opération, direction. En chaque question, moi de premier pas, moi dit bonjour, merci pour venir.
Bonjour.
Oui, moi commencer puis question, les nous ton centre commande qui est directement ça y est là où nous en centre commande on dit nous dans des morceaux parole qui ça il ka pour nous commande ça y est ça qui c'est moun qui là avec raison nous ni en centre commande.
Eh bien cette commande là établie par gouvernement pour assister gouvernement à dire ces décisions ni pour faire pour nous ça gourmet contre COVID-19. So nous avons apprécié that qui délai ou cabriser différents monde qui ni différentes technical expertise pour ça discuter différentes situations qui kay levé et puis c'est monde ça kay discuter yo kay garder toutes ces différents aspects tout ça qui mène kay affecté qui mène pas kay affecté et puis yo ça fait une recommandation pour cabinet et puis pour gouvernement pour dire nous a garder matin ça là nous a discuter nous a garder tout ça qui bon tout ça qui pas bon à botli et puis nous ka recommander pour faire telle manière et de telle façon à sous décision ça. Now comment ça ni un shy moon adidai et puis dans ces moon c'est pas toute piste de l'année des fois nous mener dépend en les qui décision nous pour faire mais comment ka lead par ministre Dominic Fedee c'est lui qui ministre pour tourisme cabinet appointé pour point lead comment ça là nous ni ministre santé Mary Isaac qui en lay nous ni CMOA c'est l'équipe qui in charge et puis qui a directé à ce qui ça qui a fait dans COVID-19 et puis il y a les comment ça nous ni permanent sécurité health, permanent security, tourism, toutes ces différentes permanent security ça là, nous ni commissionnaire police, monsieur Minton Daisy qui là, et puis nous ni ex-commissionnaire police aussi pour bailler support pour comment ça là, nous ni directeur finance et puis ex-directeur finance à ce commande là aussi. Nous ni delivery unit, ça c'est un unit qui est office premier ministre là qui a aidé pour implémentation différents projets et puis yo assure nous ni mot et puis l'année santé nous amène Ppe Is commerce et puis différents ministères mais ça commande la ka fait plus c'est tous les jours commande la ka acide et ka joindre différentes décisions différents requests qui ka fait par membre public par gouvernement par various agencies yo ka dit nous voulons faire ci nous voulons faire ça est-ce nous ça fait ci est-ce nous ça fait ça et puis commande la ka acide yo ka discuter yo ka mener différents à sous pour garder qui décision pour faire et puis nous avons fait une recommandation pour cabinet et puis pour gouvernement à ce qui manière nous quoi yo supposé point décision ça là.
OK, so si moi comprends nous bien pour mettre yon parasol comment ça la ka bay gouvernement direction.
Oui.
Manière hot ka point direction c'est HC moun qui ni conseil technique là c'est moun qui qualifié c'est moun qui ni expérience là mener yon entrer parler puis yo moi yon bagay qui bien important là maintenant CMO avec département santé là épisode tout ça qui ni pour fait CMO lié puis département santé parce que là vini pour ça nous ka combattre qui c'est COVID-19 maintenant c'est attention, c'est pour combattre et pour empêcher ici mais au G. Bon, l'autre question qui est venue c'est yon chaimoun moi quoi qu'espérer pourtant là vini pour qui manière a décidé koto ka ouvert à qui l'est parce que on compagnie on garder ça a ouvert ça a pas ouvert en compagnie ka dit yo quitter ça a passé yo vie ouvert pour 10 heures de temps 24 heures de temps fait nous comprendre qui manière les hot acide qui ça a déterminé en décision.
Premier bail qui a déterminé une décision, c'est rapport CMOA. Quoi, tous les jours, avant nous commencer, CMOA a bail un rapport, CMOA a dit qui ça qui a fait et puis COVID-19, qui côté nous y a testing, combien de monde qui positif, combien de monde qui négatif, qui ça aller de ces various communes ça yo ka ouais ça yo ka après pied et puis dernier ka adviser et puis ka dit que si il quoi là ni en high risk c'est bon risque bien haut et ka dit nous pas ça faire cette décision mais si ka quoi risque là pas top haut et puis risque là ti manière plus bas pour là de nous ça considérer à la décision so là nous joindre rapport ça from CMOA then c'est divers request là qui kania si pour ouvrir un supermarket si pour ouvrir un hardware store si pour ouvrir this then nous ka point ça en considération vis-à-vis rapport CMOA et puis then nous ka discuter nous ka mener ces moun qu'on dit qui ni expérience qui ni technical expertise et puis nous ka assis nous ka écrit tout ça qui ka boire bonne décision quoi nous tenir décision pour faire pour ouvrir ces hardware store nous avons un request from Wasco te kadi la ka ni drought pa ka ni chay de l'eau et puis un chay moun kadi yo te vle gen un water tank pour yo te ça mettre pli de l'eau la kayo et aussi nous savons weekend season a vini et puis peut-être pas ni de l'eau so nous tenons pour discuter décision ça pour garder si nous ni pour ouvrir ces hardware store qui impact ça kay ni les populations est-ce que chay moun kay ala de ces hardware store est-ce que kay empêcher moun interwork et puis moun pas kay rester CPA et be différents bail comme ça so nous devons pour garder toutes ces décisions ça vis-à-vis de l'eau c'est un bail qui bien critique because pour gommer COVID-19 au besoin de l'eau on ni pour ni de l'eau puis nous ka de moun laver laver la main toutes les. Quoi nous tenir pour garder décision ça et puis dire si nous fait si qui ça qui a fait et puis si nous pas fait si qui ça qui a fait et puis à sous ça nous ka faire recommandation et puis nous faire recommandation pour dire nous ka ouvrir ces hardware store pour bailler mon chance pour yo ça gagner c'est ti bail là yo besoin pour gagner water tank yo. En chaque monde te ka demander à sous décision pour qui ça nous ouvert à côté ko SNS quoi dit et puis les nous garder c'est à dans ces bagailles là côté ko SNS etc différents histoires ça ka vendre yo ka vendre un chai bail qui ni pour faire et puis plumbing un chai bail qui ni pour faire et puis nettoyer yo ka vendre un chai en bail comme savon et puis différents bail comme ça et ces bail ça c'est bagaille moun bouisin en gourmet COVID-19 so les nous fait ces décisions pas ka garder à ce monde et ben qui business mais business ka regarder aso qui impact au vrai business ça ka ni les pays et qui manière ka aider cette lycéen pour yo s'appli ajouter à sous décision ça ou ka après c'est date qui nous pas monde qui aime western di dans chai nous aime western dehors nous aime ay dehors moun aime gen ti bagay yo so nous te hani moun on dit dans 24-hour curfew pour presque un whole semaine et c'est après ça nous réaliser après semaine nous réaliser moun ni pour aller dehors moun ni pour aller manger moun ni pour aller boire mais peut-être un moun là ni di font bail moun di pour faire caillou pour exemple peut-être un louveuse te croisé un bail te croisé un tile te pété un petit bail ni pour faire caillou là so c'est pour raison ça nous pour considérer toutes ces bagailles ça là et puis pour faire recommandation pour faire décision pour ouvrir qualité business et qui qualité business pour ouvrir. Adam on ka me de ouais pour qui ça pas ouvrir ces business qui ka vendre hadep soulier et puis à présent nous ka dit nous pas quoi c'est un grand need qui ni dat qui moun pour gain hard et bien gain soulier pas nécessaire attends ça là mais nous quoi nécessaire pour moun ça gain water tank peut-être so nous pour garder qui ça qui plus nécessaire et qui ça qui pas autant nécessaire et puis pour faire décision ça là.
Et puis moi je voulais dire yon bagay dis-moi si ça m'a dit à droite enfin ça on a dit pas dit temps hot kay joindre hot là pour prendre décision avec mener c'est mon qui expérience là rien pas qu'à faire tout temps hot pas un rapport 6 mois qu'a dit côté nous y à présent et puis vers min covid là combien moun Guinée combien test nous ni qui côté plus haut quand hot ka dépendre à sous ça parce que attention c'est pour nous empêcher ici mais en fait oui
la partie pièce décision nous qu'a fait date qui si mois pas évolué et puis si mois pas dit nous oui et ben non pièce décision pas qu'a fait si mois pas d'accord et puis dit quoi ça OK nous a gardé qui manière qui a impacté Covid qui manière qui a impacté population et puis si mois qui ba nous blessé ni il a dit oui OK nous ça fait décision ça mais nous pas qu'a faire rod 6 mois nous qu'a faire ensemble
et puis quoi vite deux bagailles moi toujours mando quoi nous tant nouvelle semaine ça nous ni 10 jours personne pas testé positif hot supposé déjà je viens pour ça nous aussi tant vini en la terre les vini ka agir puis vermine covid là nous tande qui 7 lycéens parmi moins de 2 3 pays qui pas ni pièce là mort bonne nouvelle encore quoi l'autre question c'est pour qui ça nous pour autant office commande là qu'a dit oui messieurs nous pas la mort nous pas personne qui ja joindre en nouvelle c'est cabaret en nouvelle église pour qui ça nous pour autant ça.
Well, même si nous pas connaître pièce là mort, nous still ka kwe et puis si moi still ka kwe nous dans situation qui still critique. Ça si un mot ka dit that qui nous pas ko ouais trop cas COVID-19 mais ça pas mine la panique à COVID-19 et puis so officier moi et puis team Ministry of Health yo ka continuer tester yo ka continuer aller en tout petit commune yo ka continuer garder depuis moun depuis venir peut-être en pièce l'hôpital et pièce santé et puis peut-être ka tousser peut-être nous ni go la fièvre peut-être ou pas ka sentir ko bien yo ka garder et puis yo ka depuis ces signes Covid yo ka administrer un test pour garder pour assurer qui uni et bien on pani et puis pour faire décision quoi si moi a advisé nous qui toute bagaille pour OK nous pouvons passer COVID-19. C'est pas puisque nous pas ni personne qui peut mort et puis c'est pas puisque il y a ni 10 jours nous pouvons joindre personne qui ni date qui la pani. So si moi qui plus confortable et puis timni pour yo vie aller faire un autre set test encore. Regardez si la ni pièce moun qui ni signe tester et puis après ça il y a une détermination mais à présent détermination sort officier moi c'est toute bagaille poko alright so il commande nous pour prendre patience et c'est so pour cas ça là nous ka dit chaque monde veut nous ouvrir c'est tikaba oui chaque monde veut nous ouvrir côté pour monde pour un petit bois pour monde ça free petit koyo et puis nous savons cette lycée aimer pour un petit bois cette lycée aimer à l'anti côté acide parler gentil domino et ben comme ça mais c'est bagaille ça là c'est qui ka spread vermina là acide ensemble ka parler especially sous pani masque ou ebe sou pa ka rester hard 6 pieds moun ça still c'est un risque et point et puis nous poko vle point risque ça actuellement et c'est pour raison ça nous ka dit dat qui nous pas dit moun supposé boire ben supposé pas boire ça pas décision nous pour faire mais décision nous c'est pour assurer dat qui nous ça protecter cette lycée et puis tout le monde cette lycée aussi décision nous ka point à besoin c'est pour empêcher ces bars et ces shops là ouvert pour empêcher moun aller et pour moun rester là de yo pour petit boire yo boire là bien yo boire deux yo boire trois et que juste la ka parler et ça c'est un risque ça c'est un risque dat qui si moi a advisé dat qui nous pas supposé point et c'est pour raison ça là nous pouvons ouvrir ces cabarets avec ces shops là.
Eh bien, belle cause. Enfin, la pouvons y guérison pour affaires vermine Covid là. La pouvons y vaccine, la pouvons y guérison. So même si nous pas une pièce là mort, et même si nous attendons 10 jours nous pouvons une personne qui positive, ça pas veut dire parler puis bagaille sa vie est normal. Là vini pour nous tend nous ouvert 40 000 masques de Taïwan, nous tend nous 6 choix équipement. Et choix équipement ça supposé qu'a identifier si on a la fièvre qui haut, qui c'est yon c'est signe ou qu'a hen sous ni Covid. Parlant de ça, qui manière office ou ça, quand les vini pour donation ça nous là et puis dernier parole ou qu'il veut dire cette lycée.
Well, in terms of donation, team là nous still nous travaillons ça aussi. Puis là ni various moun qui en les commit center qui ni contact et very moun ka vrai qu'est-ce qu'a dit nous voulons voir masse nous voulons voir 10 nous voulons voir ça et puis nous ka apprécier et puis nous ka demander moun qui ici moun qui l'autre pays sous ni contact sous ni gens sous ni moun qui ni bail qui veut donner masse et bien medical equipment nous ouvert pour ça aussi nous ka accepter et puis nous ka bienvenue nous t'es bienvenue nous a joindre from Taiwan nous a joindre from Paho nous ka joindre from different organisation l'année private individual différents moun qui private qui avoué by des sanbano cette lycée so nous ka apprécier ça en chai nous côté dat qui nous ka joindre ces bagailles ça là et puis nous ka dit yo merci because c'est ba ça ka aider nous en gourmet COVID-19 pour assurer dat qui nous ka tient population safe et puis population a dit dans un bon cas.
Dernière parole.
Eh bien, moi, je veux dire bon matin, moi, je veux dire merci en chai pour cette lycée et puis pour si poyo. Moi, je veux cette lycée comprendre et puis moi, je veux cette lycée ajouter date qui supporter gouvernement a dit de ces décisions gouvernement qu'a faire et puis quand on dit gouvernement pas qu'a faire décision vai premier ministre là pas qu'a lever li bon en jour bon matin just dit on fait ci et bien on fait ça l'année en process l'année en procedure l'année en team l'année norme et puis madame qui a dit dans team ça yo ni différent expérience yo ni différent technical expertise yo ka acide yo ka garder ces décisions et puis then yo ka fait adviser gouvernement et puis cabinet à ce qui manière pour faire ces décisions ça et qui manière pour aller so moi voulais cette lycéen continuer supporter gouvernement ces décisions qui a fait là continuer écouter si un mot et puis ces advisories like a buy continuer sous pani pièce côté pour aller et pour pani pas descendre à bas pas descendre juste pour machine nous kay pour online rester la caillou codionia by kadi en anglais it's better to be safe than sorry so and rester en écouter nous pouvons passer COVID-19 moi voulais dire cette lycée encore COVID-19 still là nous pouvons in the clear all clear pouvons given so moi dit cette lycée précaution et puis coûter ça Ministry of Health cadeau et puis en ajouter il c'est pour un petit temps il pareil pour tout temps mais en ajouter pour petit temps ça pour nous ça assurer date que nous catchen tout juste cette lycée safe.
merci un pile Saint Lucie ou qui l'autre pays autant ça y est zoé pas qu'à rouper tête 20 000 pas qu'à marcher nous qu'à marcher. Jesse?
Thank you. And I know you've been speaking a lot about St. Lucians here on island, but there are understandable anxieties by St. Lucians living abroad. You would have heard that many St. Lucians succumbed as well as living with, battling this disease right now. And as a result, we're finding out that many St. Lucians want to return home. Even second and third generation St. Lucians want to return home. Among other things, can you speak to, well, we've even seen St. Lucians getting on a boat and trying to come over from Martinique. So can you speak to the conditions? I would imagine they would be extraordinary that would allow the ports to be reopened, because we get a lot of persons asking questions. And any other comments you have with respect to St. Lucians wanting to come back home?
Well, this is one of the requests that we get the most from the command center. We get a lot of requests of St. Lucians who want to come back home. They keep asking, when are you going to reopen the airports? When are you going to reopen the ports so that we can come home? We do not want to stay where we are. And this is also a very challenging decision. You would have heard Minister Fedee earlier on speak to the issue of our people on the cruise ship, for example. This is something that has been weighing. So the command center has been working with the cruise line in trying to determine and put the logistics together to see how we can repatriate our St. Lucians to come back home. However, the difficulty in reopening the ports is what is happening internationally. So you would look at perhaps a country like New York. The virus is still not under control. We have a heavy population of St. Lucians in New York, and so in reopening, it would mean that everybody who comes in at this point in time would have to go into quarantine. And that is another area that we're working with as well in terms of our quarantine facilities. There is a limited capacity that we have in being able to put people into quarantine. And so reopening our ports would mean that it would put tremendous pressure on our quarantine facilities, because you want to ensure that whoever is coming in is not coming in with the virus, so they must go into quarantine to ensure that you do not have a resurgence of infection at the community level. And so for our St. Lucians who are abroad, who are listening, we miss you. We want you to come home, and we're praying to God that you do not get infected with the virus wherever it is that you are. But we're also asking you to have a little bit of patience and to hold on, because it is for the better good of not only yourselves but your families. We do not want it to be a situation where you want to come home, you come home, we do not have the capacity to quarantine you. We send you home for home quarantine, for example, and then you are affected and you infect your loved ones who are at your home, and then it may result in death. And this also, we want people to look at the consequences of making those decisions. So whilst we want our people to come home, we want to ensure that when it is safe and that everything is perhaps at a stage where it is more manageable, then we can perhaps the CMO can make the decision in recommending that we reopen our ports. But at this point in time, she does not think that it is safe. The ministry and the team do not believe that the COVID-19 is under sufficient control internationally out there to reopen our ports, and so that decision will be made when the CMO decides and look at what is happening both locally and internationally. But our capacity to manage in terms of our quarantine facilities as well is putting that into place. So for example, our cruise ship people who are working on the cruise ship, whilst we're making arrangements to bring them in, we have in excess of about 500 of them out there. Currently, our capacity at our quarantine facility, our Rodney Heights medical facility, is about 140, and we have other places that we have them on hold, for example. And so if we are to bring in all 500 of them at one time, it means that it's extra costing for us, it's extra facility. We have to go to more hotels to try and get more rooms, and so it's an additional cost for us. And so we're trying to manage it as best as possible to bring them home perhaps in phases or in manageable groups, but we are working towards bringing them in as a matter of priority. And the priority given to the cruise ship passengers is by virtue of the fact that they're just out there on the sea in the boat. There are no passengers on the boat. Some of them, in terms of their mindset, they're just emotionally, they're very down, they're very depressed, they're missing their families, they want to come home. And so it's all these things that we're considering in putting together a plan in bringing them home as a matter of priority. But we are working towards ensuring that every St. Lucian is safe, both here and abroad. I also want to say to our St. Lucians who are abroad that our embassies are also open. If you want to reach out to them, we have our embassies in Miami, we have in New York, we have in DC. If you want to reach out to them just to get a fair picture of what is happening, if you want to find out about your family here and so forth, reach out to them, so at least it's a little touch of home away from home, but we're just asking them to hold on for now.
One of the things I always attempt to do, and I think all of our hosts here, is to make the situation quite relatable to our people, and we all go into this together. Yesterday, for example, I had on the NYC, and one of the issues that came up was with regards to young persons, our athletes. And I know you have a daughter who's a star athlete, and their inability to go out and train, again, practicing the social distancing or what have you. Just speak to your personal experience in terms of dealing with her, and when it comes to that. And has that discussion reached your desk in terms of allowing, probably yesterday we suggested probably something that could be managed through the youth council and what have you. So just speak to that from your personal experience, as well as if it is something that is being discussed and looked at.
Well, from my personal experience, I have two daughters. I have one who's an athlete and one who's been going to school at Sir Arthur Louis. So it's kind of difficult managing both of them. My daughter who goes to Sir Arthur, for example, she had continued working online. I think the college had continued to send work and her tutors and so forth, so there was always that work happening. But very early o'clock, my daughter, who's the athlete, her club, her coach sent out to all the athletes. They send them a regime that they have to undertake every single day, and that's where the challenge is. Because every single day they are used, because they're very young, they used to being with their friends, and they used to being together in the club, training together as a group, and so it makes it more fun and it makes it more exciting. Training at home every single day has been a challenge that I have to be on top of her every single day. Hannah, what time are you training today? And sometimes I have to insist, and she says like, Mommy, I'm bored, or Mommy, I'm so tired, and I don't know tired from what, but I have to kind of push her. Sometimes at 8 and at 9 o'clock in the night, I would insist, and then she would go and do her training. So it has had its challenges, but I also want to say thank you very much to her club and to her coaches, because the coach continues to call every now and then, find out how she's doing. The coaches continue to call them. We have parents WhatsApp group where the coaches send us messages to find out how our athletes are doing, and so it's just had its impact on everyone, because then as a parent, I'm not a coach and I don't know much about training, but I have to make sure that she does whatever it is that she's been told and recommended by her coach to make sure that she maintains that level of fitness, because as we say, COVID-19 is not here forever, and so you want to ensure that there is some sort of stability in the lives of our children, in the lives of our athletes, that they can continue. In terms of that being at the discussion level of the Command Center, it has not been brought to our attention. It's not a request that has been made, but I'm pretty sure if the request is made, we will look at it from every angle. We will bring in the technical expertise to advise the team, and in order to make a determination and a recommendation as to how to move forward. But I think what I would recommend for parents who have athletes and coaches and clubs, I would hope that that has happened, but I would ask that perhaps the parents continue to motivate and to encourage the children, to be there for them, to be supportive of them. And sometimes they may not want, they may not feel like it, but sometimes you have to be a parent now and insist that they have to do what they have to do, especially if it is important to them.
Okay. Jesse?
Thank you so very much for your time, Ms. Nancy Charles, the Director of Implementation at the Office of the Prime Minister. Thank you so much.
I just, before we close, I think I just wanted to go through a little bit of the latest SI, which is the list of essential services, because this is something that has created a little bit of confusion as well with members of the public in terms of understanding which businesses is open and which businesses are not open. And also the SI speaks to minimal operation and full operation. And so just to give a little bit of an understanding as to what it says and what is a minimal operation, I just want to read and to explain to St. Lucia what it means in terms of minimal operation. So under the SI, which is the last one that was printed, I think it is statutory instrument number 63, It speaks to the curfew, and the curfew speaks to the specified time. So, Cox, as you spoke earlier this morning and the team spoke, with the extension of the state of the emergency, the curfew remains from 7 to 5 every single day. In terms of minimal operations means allowing an employee or public servant to work either remotely from home, utilizing virtual means, or in accordance with the physical distancing protocol specified under Section 7 within the specified by a business or a government agency. And Section 7, which is the social distancing, what it speaks to, it says, a public service shall ensure that all customers and staff maintain physical distancing no less than 6 feet. They will ensure that in the business or in the office, and they will ensure outside the business or the office if it is required as well. And then minimal operations, the social distancing protocol also speaks to determine the number of persons that may be permitted in an office at any one time by permitting one person for every 30 square feet of space. So the SI speaks very clearly to the physical distancing, the protocols that are supposed to be adhered to. And what we have tried to advocate as well is that we want St. Lucians to let's be each other's police. If you enter into a business place and they are not adhering to the social distancing, let's be our brothers keepers and make the appropriate reports so persons know that we should not be relaxing on these. In terms of the essential services, which is the latest SI that has been published, for financial services, in terms of teller ATM services, it is in full operation, meaning that the teller services is in full operation at the banks and your ATM. Online services is in full operation, but your counter services where the interaction, there is minimal operation, and that means they keep to the social distancing and they keep to a specific number of persons who can be in that bank at a specified time. Electricity, water, because these are critical and essential services for the production and operation, they are in full operation. However, for customer services where you can go and pay your bills and so forth, there is a minimal operation for this. In terms of data center, it is closed except that they can work from home. Supermarkets, as we all know, it is minimal operation. Wholesalers and delivery services, minimal operation, means they adhere to some of the protocols. Mini marts and small shops, they are into minimal operation. For food supply of raw food, it is minimal operation. Delivery and drive-through services, it's minimal operation. So it means food persons who supply food for delivery, they can do minimal operation. But dining in, like your restaurant, if you want to sit down at the restaurant, that is closed and it remains closed. And service for guest house only, that is in full operation. Our farming and our fishing, because these are critical and essential services, they remain in full operation. Our local butchers, persons have shared some concerns about that, but they are in minimal operation, and the Ministry of Health through the CMO's office have submitted to them the protocols and the guidelines that they must adhere to if they continue in terms of local butchering. In terms of our petrol stations, they are in full operation. Auto vehicle garage, and because you have people going back and forth, it is necessary to ensure that if somebody get a busted tire or people need to service their vehicles and so forth, so the vehicle maintenance, it is on the minimal operation, not full operation. Vehicle repairs as well and record towing services, these are on the minimal and full operation. Telecommunications, which is important, operations and maintenance of there is full operation. The media is on the full operation. Our manufacturing industries, there are certain sectors that have been allowed to open. So it is the production of food and water on the manufacturing. They are on the full operation. Our call centers, which is another area that persons have had a number of issues with and concerns, they are on the minimal operation. And I want to reiterate again, minimal operation can mean two things, that either they work from home or that if they are working in the office, they keep to social protocols and social distancing. And so in terms of the call centers, people saying why the call centers are still open, because most of the call centers that we know they have gone to minimal operation where quite a number of their staff are working from home, and then you have a smaller number of staff who are continue to work at those centers. The hardwares, as we indicated, the hardware stores, and if you look at the activity, it speaks to very specific. It is for emergency renovation and maintenance activities for a household to facilitate water storage or plumbing maintenance in preparation for the drought alert, and that would be minimal operation. And for your home and your household, that would be on the minimal operation. Your health is on the full operation. Security is on the full operation. Our transportation sector remains on the minimal operation. You would realize that we still kept the zones, and the zones are very important because what we're trying to do as much as possible, as I said, is the prevention of people from socializing, just taking in your car and saying, I'm going down the road and check my partner in view for there, or I'm going to Soufre there. You know, we just want to encourage people to stay home, and so we've kept the zones and we've kept the transportation at minimal operation. In terms of government agency, most of the ministries are working from minimal operation. A lot of the staff are working from home, but some of the critical services, they are allowing them to come in. So for example, Treasury and some of these services, they continue to work from home. You would realize that Minister Fedee indicated there's a few services that government has also allowed to open. Our doctors, our lawyers, and some of those services, these are critical and these are essential. And so I would advise anybody, if they need to know and if they need clarification, they can get a copy of the SI from the government printery. I am not too sure if it's available on the government website, but we will try to ensure that it's up on the government website so person can have access to that information to know what is open and what is not.
Just ou ba explanation la titak sou sa chen ni kout ek di nou because la ni moun ga kouye ka man de question yon nan se bay la ek ou ba explanation di ki sa ki la di minimal qui ça ou ka parler di là di minimal et ben penchai les moun ça ouvert ces places là une permission ouvert mais ou ka di pas manière bagay supposé normal je vais parler vitement pour dire ça là di minimal dans business et ben pièce opération ça ou ka parler di
et ben minimal opération ça nous ka di c'est peut-être avant là tu ouvert business ou là ouvert la porte tout le monde s'en toué 20 moun yon 100 moun 50 moun sa antoué mais en bas minimal opération ça yo ka di c'est l'année de soit protocole dat ki nou ni pou chebe c'est yon l'année on spécifique dépend à ce qui go business là ou pas ça ni plipe en quantité moun di de business là so si business là petit peut-être yo ka do pas ça ni plipe 5 et ben 6 moun et ben 10 moun et puis aussi c'est 5 et ben 6 moun ça qui a dit là yo still ni pou chebe pour 6 pieds social distancing nan nou ka parler à bot là yo still pas ni pour ka coinster ale yon a lot moun ni pou rester hot yon a lot aussi l'année à de business minimal opération yo ka di si c'est moun ça travaille from kayo ou ka ba yo computer ben laptop et puis yo ça rester là kayo et puis fait travail yo c'est ça qui ka yo ka nou ka pris recommandation c'est pour yo rester là kayo et ben travail mais si yo pas ça travail là kayo then yo ni pour venir et puis yo ka rester hot yon a lot et puis ça ka aller pour business ça ka aller pour office ça ka aller pour tout depuis quand il ouvert on ni pour chaîne ça et puis si on pas qu'à chaîne ça n'importe monde ça va pas c'est ça mon cas de nous ni pour continuer qu'à garder pour yon a l'autre protocole là si moi ka bay toutes ces business ça protocole yo chaque ni en papier et puis yo savent ça yo ni pour faire yo ni savent ça yo ni pour chebe quand tout business de pour ouvert on ni pour make sure avant mon autre business ou là ni pour ni hand sanitizer les mon quand pour sanitize si un business pas ni ça il pas supposé ouvert les customers want dit de business là peut-être là supposé ni sanitizing station di font côté pour mon ça sanitize et puis on ni pour assurer la pas ni top mon business là aussi c'est yo bay si moi ka recommande et puis là aussi tout le monde supposé ni en masque là en public là ka marcher moi still ka ouais à chaque monde ka marcher sans masque et puis moi voulais à voter cet lycéen mettez masque là puisque il ka protecter moun ka parler bay là il ka protecter ne ba pour change ce protocole ça puis si important chai
et yon bay là moi just voulais dire ça veut dire c'est direction c'est gide ça ou ka heni hot département commerce là ou fait application pour ouvert
oui Département commerce là ou fait application département commerce ka ba ou approval là mais ka ba ou en liste ka ba ou papier et puis on pour cheber toutes ces bagages ça là et puis si on pas cheber ces bagages ça là département commerce ça fermé ou environmental health ka for inspection yo ça fermé ou so on pour make sure et puis assurer ou cheber toutes ces bagages ça là.
Merci tellement. Jesse, Tony.
Jesse.
Thank you so very much for that. Again, thank you, Ms. Nancy Charles, for giving us a very comprehensive overview of the decisions being taken by the Operations Command Center of the Office of the Prime Minister in deciding on what to do, what not to do when it comes to responding to COVID-19. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much. I want to say thank you much to the team being led by Minister Fedee. He's been doing a fantastic job in leading the team, in leading the conversation, in ensuring that the decisions that we are making is in the best interest of St. Lucia. Thank you very much to the CMO and her team as well, who's always ready and available to provide advice and to ensure that they stick to what is best practices. And thank you very much to all the other members of the team. We have a really good team going. We've developed a very good relationship with each other, and we've learned to be open and honest and to discuss the issues in a transparent way and in an unbiased way to ensure at the end of the day that whatever decisions that is recommended to the Cabinet of Ministers, it is the best decision that we can recommend.
Wonderful. Do stay with us as we go into this next notice. The opening of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament will be on Tuesday morning, and I understand it to be a very different sitting. We will be having a live feed of the His Excellency the Governor General will be speaking delivering his throne speech via a video feed, and also the house will be closed to the public, so you won't be able to have anybody coming in to sit in and view the proceedings. So just a notice there. Of course, it's a continued measure being taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a continued measure being taken and being recommended again by the Office of the CMO. Government and government agencies must be seen as adhering to the protocols that are being recommended. And so in light of that, normally there's a pomp and ceremony that happens. There's the inspection of the guards that happens. And you have a lot of people who come in who are invited. And so unfortunately, due to COVID-19, it is not practical for that to happen at this time. And so the encouragement is that everybody tune into the television stations and to the radio stations to listen in on it. It is just allowing St. Lucians and all of us to do things differently. It's a different mode of operating, a different mode of communicating, and it's just a different way of us getting things done.
Wonderful. The opening of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament will be on Tuesday morning, that is the 28th of April 2020. And there the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance will present the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the budget year 2020-2021. And just to give you some information, there will be no inspection of the guard by the Governor General, His Excellency Sir Emmanuel Neville Snack. There will be no inspection of the guard, and he will be delivering his throne speech via video feed he will be delivering the throne speech via video feed. So that will be the changes that we can expect for this sitting of Parliament, the 5th session of the 11th Parliament. The opening will be done a little bit differently, of course, in keeping with the ordinances of our COVID-19 response. Again, the Prime Minister will be delivering the estimates of revenue and expenditure. So we do encourage you to tune in on Tuesday, the 28th of April, for the opening of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament. In the interim, the Prime Minister will be addressing the nation on the economy amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. To note, the Minister for Finance, Economic Growth, Job Creation, External Affairs and the Public Service, the Honorable Alan M. Shasney, will address the nation on Sunday, April 26th at 7 p.m. on the state of St. Lucia's economy amidst this COVID-19 situation. The Prime Minister is expected to lay out government's short-term and medium-term plans in the current environment of reduced economic activity and chart the way forward for St. Lucia as a whole. The address will be carried live via the National Television Network and simultaneously by local stations. The broadcast will also be available online via the following: the NTN portal, the Government of St. Lucia Facebook page, the Office of the Prime Minister Facebook page, as well as the Government of St. Lucia YouTube channel. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We'd like to thank once again Ms. Nancy Childs for her time. And as we wrap up, we'd like to encourage you and let you know that St. Lucia remains on high alert for COVID-19. We've had a 100% recovery rate, no cases registered since the 10th of April, but we need to continue to be on alert. We shouldn't be resting on our laurels. We shouldn't become complacent. We should continue to abide by the protocols outlined to ensure that we continue to have this very enviable position that we do have with regard to COVID-19. Our time is running out, and
I think we just have a quick notice, Jesse.
Yes.
Following the Prime Minister's address tomorrow, we will be having a live panel discussion, the economy and COVID-19, and that is from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. tomorrow, right here live on GIS. Titus Prevel, the moderator. We have Wendy Delmar, Chief Executive Officer, Caribbean Association of Banks Incorporated. Dr. Thomas Samuel, Director of International Trade. Richard Pitterkin, Chartered Accountant, Grant Thornton. Janai Leons, Chief Economist, Ministry of Finance. And Paula James, Executive Director, St. Lucia Manufacturers Association. So a live panel discussion immediately following the Prime Minister's address tomorrow here on GIS.
So keep that in mind. Immediately after the Prime Minister addresses the nation tomorrow night at 7 p.m., there will be a panel discussion to follow. So we hope you do tune in for that. We do expect it to be quite an interesting conversation, dialogue, looking at the names there. But do stay tuned for more programming from NTN right now. We have more programming, giving you more information, continued information as we respond to COVID-19 from the Information Command Center. My name is Jessie Leonce, in studio, Carlton Cyril and Tony Nicholas. It has been our pleasure delivering to you for this week, and we look forward to the new week where we will be providing you with further updates as things regarding COVID-19 unfolds. Goodbye for now, and do enjoy your afternoon.